this whole area between Oak Lawn and Maple and Harry Hines and Cedar Springs, it's just a very historic area. And we, when you look at the old pictures, when Parkland was first built, there was nothing around here.
It is important that we see Old Parkland to understand how this all got started. If we don't understand how it got started, we can mess up the future pretty easily. Also, Old Parkland is important because it helps us understand what Oak Lawn was like. What is really bad for a neighborhood or for a city is if our neighborhoods lose their character, because in a big city, as an individual, I need to have some kind of thought and identity and relationship to where I will live and work. Old Parkland Hospital is that for this area.
Well, it was a nice little neighborhood here, and we felt safe going out at night. You know, if we wanted to go for a walk or something, and we'd always go to the drugstore across the street. I didn't notice whether it was still here or not when we drove by today, but and the lawn, they had the beautiful old trees on the lawn, and you could go out there and see it.
Part of what has always made Oak Lawn special and important to Dallas is that it is a green space that is very close to downtown Dallas. You've got Turtle Creek, and you've got River Shawn Park, and you've got the Katy Trail now. And preserving this piece of land so that it is part of that green space was important. If it had become a filling station or retail or even office tower where the land and the trees all went away and it was concrete, it really would have hurt not just Oak Lawn but downtown Dallas, because you need this as an amenity for downtown.
I get vague pictures of different things over here of, you know, where it was, and the laundry is still down the street here. Sunshine, or is it whatever it is, been there for all of these years.
It was on cheap land that was far removed from the city, and of course that was in the days of horse and buggy and horseback travel. So it took a while to get out here. But then the city needed an emergency hospital, and then that was when Parkland was organized.
I think Oak Lawn is the first really urban neighborhood in Dallas. It is the first neighborhood where the residents, the neighborhood associations, realized that because of the existing zoning that was next to their neighborhoods, they had to work with the developers to come up with a plan for how to preserve the neighborhoods, but also create good development. Part of that really was just early ordinances about where trees would be and how dumpsters would be screened and when you could pick up the trash. But I think Oak Lawn continues to become more dense with both residents and commercial uses. As a Dallas native, I remember when there was literally one wine bar in all of Dallas. And now there's about 4 within walking distance of my home, which is in Oak Lawn. And you only get that increased retail because there are people here who are willing to spend money and would rather spend money in an area where it's only 5 or 10 minutes or they can walk, rather than getting in the car and driving 30 minutes someplace and maybe having to pay parking.
There was a small hamburger stand right across the street, and it had about 4 stools, and that was it. And the story goes it was run by 2 ex-cons, and so I never went in there much.
The property around here were small homes and small businesses. Sort of a locksmith place was across the street, as I remember.
Former Mayor Ron Kirk has just been appointed the U.S. Trade Representative in charge of trade for the entire country. A woman came up to him and said, "How does being mayor of Dallas make you qualified to be head of trade? You don't have a port." And he said, "Yes, we do. It's called DFW Airport." And I would argue that Dallas has put some big pieces in place. DFW, DART, the Arts District, and the Trinity. And that as this goes forward in the next 5, 10, 20 years, Dallas, I hate the phrase world class, but Dallas becomes a first-tier city in this country. That there will be architecture that people will want to come to, and there will be public parks, and there will be arts and entertainment, and that this building is part of that mosaic that lifts Dallas up into that first tier. Sure, we're not going to be San Francisco, but we can be ahead of Atlanta and Denver real easily if we keep this up.